This podcast is brought to you by the Texas Hill Country River region in Uvalde County. What's super unique about this area is that the Frio, Nueces, and Sabinal rivers are all located in the same county. It's like the hill country that you know and love, but really rural, so you're surrounded by wildlife. And life just kind of slows down out here, so you can enjoy the simple pleasures like campfires and fishing and just enjoying the company of the people that you love.
For more information, go to visituvaldecounty.com.
So we are here with Layla, and she is the Dallas Paki blogger, is what she goes by on Instagram. She reached out to us on Instagram about doing a stay with us, and I love your mission statement, or I guess your bio, and I'm going to read it. So it said, I am a Pakistani woman embracing confidence and an authentic lifestyle from Muslims. So can you tell us a little bit about you, and then also what does that mean to those of us who don't know you or people that don't follow you?
So a little about me, I actually started this page because my friend, he mentioned that like the Muslim community is going to be taken over by like maybe 1/3 of the population. And he also said that, you know, not a lot of people are that outspoken in the Pakistani community just because, you know, we've been told our entire lives to care about what people think. And so really that's my mission, is to get the other person to stop thinking about what other people think. And so that's how I grew up as well. Like, oh, what will other people think? You know, if I wear something, what will they say? And so that's just the tradition that we have brought down because from our past family. So yeah, it's just really trying to get out of the shelter.
Yeah. So you're not first generation here in America, are you?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
So you're the first generation. So your parents came recently, or how long has it been since they've been in the States?
So I want to say when I was 3 years old. I don't know how long that is. Maybe like 20 years. I want to say 23. So they've been here for about 23. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know it's that kind of thinking. I've read other books before with different foreigners from other countries, and that seems to be a thought like that a common thought that they have come in here,
right?
Because that's obviously not the culture here in America, but they don't know that, so they're just, you know, I guess just trying to stay low or whatever the case is, but they haven't picked up on the culture. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So while you were talking, I was instantly thinking, how are you spreading that message of getting out of your comfort zone and being proud and, you know, all the things that you're wanting to do for your community? How are you doing that?
So I'm actually doing that through my Instagram. I try to do things that are not normal, but, you know, some people don't like that. I hardly show my skin as it is. I've actually had one hate message like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, okay, I'll just delete it. But yeah, like their mindset is just like different. Yeah. And they think a Pakistani person is supposed to be, you know, covered and wear hijab, and, you know, not every Pakistani person can be Muslim. And so they forget. And so I guess the way I spread my awareness is, you know, by showing my culture to different countries or different states. So, yeah.
For y'all listening who don't know, Layla actually brought us some of her culture, which is the best. My favorite thing about trying and experiencing other cultures is the best way to do is through the food. And she brought us some food, which was amazing. And we appreciate you doing that so much because we know you didn't have to. And we always love it when we get food.
Yeah. Well, and then I also love like your mom helped make it and it was like a family thing. And then there's just something super special and important about sharing food, even if it's not together. It's just such a gesture of goodwill from any culture to share food with each other. It's like a unifying, we all eat and we all have food from our culture, whatever that happens to be. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that. Have you gotten a lot of support?
I have. I've actually gotten a lot of support. So yeah, people have been appreciating it because, you know, no one talks about the Pakistani culture. Like everyone is scared to open up just because of what people think. So I guess I'm like the first stepping out of that comfort zone. I have seen other Pakistani people as well, like on TikTok, but it's not a lot.
Yeah.
They're still like in their shy zone, you know, like they care about what people think. And especially with that mindset, it's just a lot. So
why do you think that people are afraid to be themselves and to show off the Pakistani culture? What do you think that's holding them back from that?
Honestly, I don't know. I think it's just that mindset that they've had from like continuous tradition. And I think that's what it is. Or even like, I guess the men, they like have more of control, like their women, or I guess their wives. And then the wives bring it on to their children. And so I think it's just a continuing tradition.
Is enjoying the outdoors, would you say that's already a part of the culture, or is that something that's outside of the culture and those are some of the areas that you're exploring?
So I would say outside of our norms, girls are told pretty much, your job is to cook and to treat your husband as he's the like king or something. Whenever we watch like dramas and TV series, that's what's being taught. Like, they see that. So it's just tradition. So
yeah, I come from Mexican descent, and that's very common in that culture too. The mother stays at home, she watches the kids, she cooks, she cleans, and she's pretty much the home baker. And then the father's the bread maker, and he goes to work, and then that's kind of the way that it was with my mom and dad. I find that very interesting that's very similar with your culture. I don't know if this is my ignorance, but I always thought it was just a Mexican thing. That's interesting. I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, I know. I think the Mexican culture and the Pakistani culture is very, very similar. So yeah, like even with the hospitality and even the culture. So yeah, very similar.
Now, what about your husband? Does he have your full support? Is he also a first generation here in America?
Yes, he's also first generation. I'm trying to like slowly change his mindset, but like we're getting there.
He's more open.
Yeah, he's more open. Like I had to force him to come here.
Wow. Does he think you're crazy? I feel like that's always the case with him, is like I have these wild and crazy ideas and he just goes along with it because he loves me. But is that kind of the case? Does he just think you're crazy? He's like, what are you doing?
Pretty much. Yeah. He was like, you're going to take me to the jungle? Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm going to take you out to the middle of nowhere to a town where there's only 200 people who live there and there's a river. And I found these people on the internet, on Instagram. It's safe. It's fine. We'll be fine. I'm sure he's like, what is going on?
Yeah, the funny thing is like I actually reached out to, I'm actually promoting Pakistan in March. And so I reached out to another person and they're like, you're crazy. Like, you think it's safe? And I'm like, yeah, I know it is safe. So I guess so. It's something they've never seen before. So they're like, how's it safe?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that, we think about a lot with people who come out here from different cultures and different places is, are they going to feel safe? Are they going to feel welcome? Are they going to feel like they belong here? Because historically, small towns in Texas maybe aren't always safe for everybody. And so, that's why we are so excited that you're here and you felt safe enough to come stay with us. And even though we were strangers on the internet.
Yeah, that's how I find like most of my things. And it's kind of funny that my mom, she thinks that the place where I'm going to go to in March is actually called Hunza. And it's kind of like Colorado, but in Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really pretty. She's always like warning me already. She's like, it's dangerous. Don't go. Who are you talking to? Like being all suspicious. And I'm like, well, I guess it'll never hurt to try.
Yeah, jump in. So, and where is it that you're going?
Hunza Valley. It's in Islamabad, Pakistan.
Okay.
Right. Honestly, that's all I know. It's like full of like mountains and it's really pretty. And it's like very nature. It's sort of like this mixed with Colorado. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's always cold there. So
wow. And you're going as part of an initiative to talk about Pakistan and travel to Pakistan, or is that what it is?
Right. So pretty much I want to go help and promote tourism for Pakistan.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome. Is there anyone else currently doing that?
Yes, there's not necessarily in Texas, but I've seen like Germany vloggers going to promote Pakistan. I think there's a couple of them promoting them. So, and I think that's how I found them. And I'm like, I didn't know Pakistan was this pretty. Like, I'm still shocked.
Yeah, I think people feel the same way about Texas when they come to the hill country. They're like, what is this place? I didn't, when you think about Texas, if you're not from here, you think desert and tumbleweeds
yeah,
rolling across the road and just dirt and whirlwinds of dirt. Texas has a lot much more to offer than that. It's actually geographically pretty diverse. We got the hill country. We have the in East Texas, very pine wood country, and then in South Texas, very brushy. We have coastal lands. And then the Great Plains area, kind of where the Panhandle's at, in West Texas, that's more of what people really think of Texas. So there is that in Texas. Yeah, it's pretty diverse when it comes to its geography.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing too. I also want to explore Texas as well as explore Pakistan. So those two are just my main goal. There's not a lot of people, doing what I'm doing. So this makes me unique also.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that because we've had a bunch of bloggers and influencers reach out to us and we really are wanting to work with diverse creators. So when you messaged me, I was like, oh, wow, look at what she's doing. Like, I feel like the work that you're doing is so important. And even if you are getting haters, here and there, the support that you're getting is probably so much bigger than that because you're filling a gap and you're filling a void and, using your voice to tell your story and to show what life can be like and to explore and live your life as big and full as you can. And I don't see that a whole lot on Instagram, or at least from, people that have reached out to us. So I completely agree with that, is that you have a very unique niche in what you're doing, and hopefully lots of brands and businesses and tourism organizations will want to work with you and will catch on to that. In, the tourism world in general, the conversation is so often focused on a very specific type of person or influencer, usually very white and perfectly skinny and gorgeous and, all of those things. But that's not the reality of the world that we live in. And everybody, of all different cultures has money to travel. Like, we may not all be able to travel to Europe, but we can definitely travel to Concan, Texas. So I think that, yeah, you're on to something.
Right. Yeah. That's what I've been saying growing up. It was hard to mix in with, like the white people. Mm. And back then, my mom was super, super strict. So I would always go into school wearing, my braided hair with oils in them. And then seeing these like white girls, like with their blonde hair and their brunettes. And I was just like, why can't I be them? So now like I'm trying to like promote, our diversity. And it's okay to be, Pakistani. That it's normal to see this. Not a lot of people promote Pakistan. I feel like they try to be white. And they try to be white is because they don't see, Paki being promoted as wow. Like, they get promoted down, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, definitely. How long have you been doing this, and what kind of pushed you to do this?
So I've been doing it since I think January or probably December before that. And I actually recently just changed my niche. My friend was like, you need to focus more on your culture instead of just like in general, because, the world is about to be 1/3 full of Muslim population. So, and not a lot of people are focusing on Muslim. They're just focusing on trying to be white. So, and then trying to focus and even make it more unique and add your culture perspective in it. And I've seen that, like, a lot of people or a lot of influencers that I work with, they're all just like the same. And yeah.
It's almost like the same dilemma with like Hollywood. Back in the day, all you saw was white people on movies that they were always the good guys. And then it was common for them to portray African Americans as the scary or evil guys. And that kind of sticks with you. If you're watching it, you there's something that kind of, it leaves an imprint that you always associate those people with the characters in the movies. I feel like there's some parallels there with bloggers. Not seeing anyone who's looks like you out there, and now you see that void and you're feeling it.
And I've noticed ever since I started doing it, I've seen like more people slowly getting out of this show, and I'm like, good. So
yeah. It's like you're opening the door for that confidence, which is exactly what your bio says, right. And giving other people confidence to do it too, and to share their voice and to share their story. I want to know is, how did you go from when you were younger, kind of being embarrassed of your culture and wanting to just assimilate? How did you go from that to where you are now? Like, what happened?
Honestly, that's a good question, because I actually used to hate where I came from. Like, I hated everything that I was about me. I hated how I looked. I hated the culture. I hated the religion. I don't know, just something clicked and was like, you need to be doing this. So I was like, okay, I'll do this. So yeah, it was something clicked and I was like, okay. I don't know if there's a good like answer for that, but it just came to me.
Yeah, it just shifted and it just changed. And then it's like all these years that you spent hiding, I guess, who you were. Now you're like, wait, I can use this. This is my superpower. Like, I don't have to hide this. This is my superpower in the world. So, wow, that's cool. I think so many people of all different types of people, that doesn't happen. And we live in the shadows and we hide who we are. And, a lot of people don't ever realize that the thing that you might be embarrassed of, or the thing that you're trying to hide from the world, is the thing that can actually change the world and make a difference in people's lives. So that's really cool that you found that and you figured it out. And now other people are too, because of what you're doing. So that's incredible.
Right. Yeah. Like, so many people, like, in my culture are scared of, like, what people think. So they try to hide it. They try to be fake about it, or, very, a lot of drama. Yeah. So I try to stay away from that. So.
Yeah. Same. Very much. Stay away from the drama, unless it's like on reality TV. If it's other people's drama on TV and I don't know them, then I'm okay with it.
Right. And I actually didn't know there was like a whole bunch of drama even in the influencer world. And I'm like, really? Well, I'm just like, no.
It's hard to get away from it. It's especially now. It's almost it's everywhere. I'm curious to know, in Dallas, is there a big presence of Pakistani people in Dallas? In Texas in general, is that the place that has the biggest population of Pakistani? Do you know?
I wouldn't say that I know, but I know Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, one of the popular states. I think
California.
There's California, even London, France. They're just spread out everywhere. I guess wherever the city life is, that's where they are.
Not in Concan.
Not in Concan.
But speaking of Concan, you were at the river today. What did you think about it?
It was very peaceful. Like, I guess I'm so used to like the fast life. And then after, I guess we're still in the pandemic, it's just gotten worse, or it's gotten double the speed than it used to be.
Where did y'all go, or what did y'all do today?
So today we went to the Garner State Park. Yeah, my husband was like so nervous. He was like, where did he take me? Like, where do we go? He's like, would there be people there? And I was like, yeah, there'll be people there. And then he was like, I don't see any people my age. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't matter.
That's so funny.
We didn't go hiking. But I feel like I needed more time for that. Probably like when I come back. We just took photos of like the scenery and we just walked around, and then we came back. And I like the fact that everything is so close. You don't have to drive like 20, 30 minutes to everything. We drove back to your cabin, and then we went to the one you told me about, the Frio River, the private
access with Doug.
Yes, he was awesome.
Okay. Did he give you a whole tour of the place? Or
Yes, he did. He talked about his trees and everything. So yeah, it was nice.
Oh yeah, his place. So they just opened up this summer to the public for people to be able to go in there. It's a private ranch, and it's beautiful. It's so pretty. That's one of my new favorite spots. I'm so glad that y'all were able to go there, because it's just a neat place and a lot of people don't know about it. It's kind of like a hidden gem, because he only lets in a small amount of people so that it can be right now socially distanced and quiet, and especially in the summer, because in the summer your husband would not have to worry about there being people here. There are people everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
But right now we're in our off season, so it's a lot slower, so it's more peaceful. There's definitely not as many people as what there usually are, but that's good. I'm glad y'all had a good, relaxing day. Hopefully a break.
Like I needed it, especially with the fast life in Dallas.
So I have another question about what you're doing with the blog. Do you have anything? You mentioned you have that trip coming up, but is there anything that you're working on right now that you're really excited about or looking forward to?
I think it's just mainly that trip that I'm mainly looking forward to, just because no one's ever done it before. So they're like, okay, is it safe to go? Is it not safe to go? So I'm actually going to take my in-laws with me. And they've never even went to Hinzug, even though they live in Pakistan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So it'll be a first for them. And even though they're already over there and they live there.
Even like their mindset there, like it's not normal to step out. It's not normal to travel. Especially for girls. For guys can do whatever they want.
Wow. And so do you feel like, because I know your mom was concerned, do you feel like it's safe? Because now I'm like, is your mom right? Or
I mean, well, I've been talking to like the tourist page, and he seems like he's pretty safe. Like he gave me like his phone number so my mother-in-law could talk to him, and then he gave me his register number for I guess the tourist page. You're supposed to have like a register number or something. So he gave me that. So like I feel pretty safe. And then he said that he's gonna come take us on the trip. So he's gonna drive us around.
Okay. So yeah. And so it's with an organization, a local tourist organization. So you're good.
Yeah. So like I know, like I guess I dealt with it, but like my mom hasn't dealt with something like this. She's like, what type of people are you meeting online? Like I guess she rented her house. She's like, oh, they won't even leave. Like how can you meet nice people? And I'm like, well, I guess I don't know, like not all people are bad.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Wow.
I feel like you have a similar attitude to Leah when it comes to doing things that are just like random. I'll just drive a bus across the country, or I'll just marry this guy that I met 3 months ago and move to Australia. Like those are just very odd and not typical things. And you're going outside of the box and kind of, I feel like that y'all have some similarities in that area.
Yeah, like when you were talking about like you've met good people and your mom is skeptical of them, I kind of had this philosophy, and granted, I've been so fortunate to not have horrible things happen to me and, meet horrible people. But, I just have this mindset that if I put goodness out into the world, I'm going to get it back. And that's been my experience. And I did drive a school bus across the country and met thousands of strangers, and not a single bad thing happened. I anticipated something rocky might happen, but everyone was so kind and so welcoming. And what I was doing was really weird. Like I was driving a school bus across the country, but people were good. And, I feel like I was putting goodness out into the world because it was an art project and you could write in the bus and you could draw, and people were giving me goodness back. And so, I feel like that philosophy has gotten me this far, but I also know how fortunate I am to have not had a whole bunch of horrible experiences in my life, because I might have a very different philosophy if that was the case. But
right. No, I agree. And that's how I am too. Like I was trying to put good into the world. And so I feel like that's how it is. And my mom's the type of person to put negative in the world. So that's why negative things keep happening to her.
It's almost like manifestation.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put out, you'll get back. You put good out, you get good back.
Yeah, and I actually had to change my mindset too, because mine was more like my mom. So, and that's what I got from her, because, I grew up with her. So my mindset was super negative. I would always be talking about someone. And that's just something I've been taught by my mom. And I didn't get out of this mindset probably till like a year ago. Wow. Or I guess when I started my page. And that's, I guess one of the reasons too, just to send positivity, like I feel like not everyone knows what that is.
What kind of made you come to that realization that you were actually participating in that same cycle that your mom participates in, as far as being negative? And, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I guess.
How did you realize that
you were like, oh yeah, just doing the same thing, and that you needed to, I guess, go about it differently and start to see things more in a positive way?
I guess just the behavior, my attitude towards people was just very negative. I was never positive. Even growing up with my, I guess, so-called friends, not friends anymore, just seeing that pattern, same thing as my mom. And I was like, wait, what am I doing? I'm just like doing the same thing as her. But I feel like at the same time, it wasn't my fault. I guess when my husband came into my life, he sort of like changed the reality.
It's crazy how that happens when you get married, and then like all the bad things that you do, it's like your spouse is a mirror, and then you can clearly see, your reflection of the good and the bad. And, I know that happened when we got married. It was like, I started to think like, oh, like I am not as nice as I think I am. Like I'm not, and it's that mirror, like they're a mirror kind of pointing, not like pointing out what's wrong with you, but kind of pointing to the things about you that may not necessarily be the best part of yourself. But then they also can clearly point out the great things about you.
Of course, you leave tomorrow, but is there anything that sticks out the most to you that you've enjoyed since you've been here in Concan?
I think it's just looking at the views. We don't get that in Dallas, in the city life. So it was just the nature, the views, and it was just different. So it almost kind of reminded me of Colorado in a way, but it's more peaceful.
Coming out here back to nature, we have that need for it. And when we get away from the city, after being in the city 360 days a year, and you're just getting away for a few days, it's rejuvenating. You get a refresh, and then you hit that refresh button while you're out here with nature, and then you go back and you're good to go, at least for a while.
At least for a while, yeah. Because before that, I was just always going somewhere. I was never relaxed. I mean, I was relaxed, but I was just always going somewhere.
Yeah, tell me about it. And y'all came at the right time because the leaves have just changed. They just changed last weekend. And so y'all are getting to see, I don't know if you noticed, like at Garner along the river, all the trees were orange and yellow and brown and beautiful. And that just happened. So
I think that was the best part, is seeing like the color changes, because I don't think we've ever been on a trip like around this time. So it's always even like been in the summer, but never in the fall. And I'm like, okay, seeing this in person is like even more beautiful.
Yeah, and you have to time it exactly right, because once the leaves start changing, then they fall quickly. And so it's like you have to time it perfectly, and y'all came at the right time. Even though that was unplanned, you got to see the leaf.
And you really never really know because it changes with the weather. So you kind of just have a general 4-week window of when to expect the leaves to change. And it's usually like mid-October to probably mid-November. Sometime within that time frame is when the leaves have changed in the past. So, but yeah, definitely something to check out. And Los Maples is its state natural area. That's the place to go. And it's so popular right now that they sell out of day passes. So you got to book well in advance to get in to see the changing of the leaves, all the maple leaves. But yeah, that's a must see next time. And I would also recommend it's in Vanderpool, which is about 45 minutes away from here.
Yeah, I know my husband mentioned something about that, and I was like, we should see it next time.
Another thing I would recommend is kayaking. Doing a kayak trip off the river here. That is very peaceful, and you're out there by yourself. You're just doing a kayak trip, and you see birds that you don't see. You can see fish in the river because it's so clear. It's just a really neat experience, and I always recommend that to anyone who comes out here that has never kayaked before. If you've never kayaked before, it's probably best to maybe do a little bit of practicing. After you do that, then yeah, it's definitely worth.
Yeah, actually, funny story is we went to Doug's place and we wanted to go kayaking, but it had like a one-seat canoe, and I was sort of afraid because none of us know how to swim. So we just like explored the area and came back. But I told my husband, I was like, we need to learn how to swim.
Yeah, and come back next time. And right now, though, would not be the time that you would want to fall into the river because it's so cold. Oh, it's so cold.
Yeah. People do the polar plunge.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we just saw people swimming last weekend in the river, and it's cold. We're sitting on the porch and we were cold, and people were in the river. And man, they are brave and committed to swimming in the Frio.
Yeah, I want to be able to do
that.
Come in the summer for that. That's the best time to come out here and enjoy it. The only downfall is that everybody's doing the same thing.
So it's not as peaceful. It's not like what it is now.
You're more just enjoying the coolness of the river.
When it's hot in Texas.
That's what I told him. I was like, it's a good time we came at like the right weather, especially since I think last week it was raining, or it was super cold last week, and like this week, like it's perfect.
I know you say you didn't hike at Garner State Park.
No,
that's one of the popular things to do, and hiking Old Baldy, which is the name of one of the hills there. That is the most popular hike there. There's a tradition when you hike Old Baldy, you get a rock and from the bottom before you start the hike, and you just take it with you. And when you get to the top, there's a pile of rocks, huge pile of rocks. So it's it's like you're leaving your mark behind by leaving a rock that you brought up from the bottom. that's a cool thing. And then also the views from up there are just amazing. One thing we always talk about, Leah and I, how Native Americans in the past, like we try to put ourselves in their shoes and just try, we always make up stuff, but we always wonder if this is where they were at, at one point, just kind of overlooking the area, looking for animals or enemies or whatever the case is, but I'm sure they used to do the same thing that we do when we hike up there. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to think about.
So as we wrap it up, I want to know, what is your hope or your plan for the future as the Dallas Paki blogger?
So my goals is to help inspire other Paki women to just sort of get out of their comfort zone and sort of to like change their mindset, because the mindset they're living in is not normal, or I guess not normal to the society we're currently living in, because they're still, I feel like they're still stuck in that mindset where they came from, and so they're just bringing it over here, and I don't think that's okay. So.
And do you see yourself continuing to use Instagram, or do you have any other ideas that you're wanting to do for the future, or just really honing in on Instagram?
So the thing with me is I have issues with being consistent. Eventually I would like to start a podcast. That, hey, it's okay to get out of, the norm. But yeah, for now, Instagram. So.
Which is such a great tool to use. Instagram is there. People are on it. Are you on TikTok?
I'm trying to be.
Okay.
I made 3 videos, but
keep at it. I love TikTok so much.
You do?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. So
that's the thing about social media apps. They're just going so fast and I can't keep up with it.
I know, it is hard. And they do say that it is good to kind of pick one and really focus in. But then you hear other social media experts that are like, no, do all the things and put out 1 million pieces of content a day on every single platform. And it's just like, that is a quick way to burn yourself out.
I just want to say that I think you're brave. And I commend you for taking this initiative and going, you're pretty much just going on faith, so.
And going against the grain and doing what you believe in and being who you are.
Yeah, I say be that shining star. So
thank you.
Keep it up. Definitely onto something. Now, if there's anyone out there who happens to listen to this, whether they're Pakistani or whatever the case is, doesn't matter. If they just want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
They can find me on my Instagram, which is at the Dallas Paki blogger, and I have my email on there too, so you can reach out to me there too.
Okay, and then we'll also put that in the show notes.
Okay.
That way they can go in there and see what that is. And I think we're good.
That's a wrap. Woo, thank you so much. We're so grateful that you're staying with us and that you are on our podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.